Good morning, everybody. So it's 9:30. Happy Monday to everybody. Hope you all had a nice weekend. So we're going to start our training session. It's a 2-hour training session and it'll be conducted by Vicky, who is our support manager here at BrightPay. Now, throughout the webinar, please feel free to type in any questions that you have. So on your control panel on the right-hand side, you'll see a little question tab there. So throughout the webinar, please feel free to ask any questions, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the very end, and we'll get through as many questions as we can. Just let me know if there's any problems hearing me. We've already done a sound test there around 10 minutes ago with the people that had registered or logged in early. So thanks for everybody's help there. It is possible to increase the volume if you're using your laptop. Similarly, most phone devices, you can increase the volume there. So I'll now pass you over to Vicky. So thank you, Vicky.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Vicky, so thanks, Karen, there. So as Karen just mentioned there, if you have any questions throughout the 2-hour session, please feel free to ask away, and we'll do our best at the very end just to answer what we can. Okay, so without further delay, we'll get started. I'm going to split the training into 2 sections today. The first part, I'll concentrate on general payroll functionality, how BrightPay handles that. And then the second part, I will show you how the auto-enrollment functionality is integrated into BrightPay as well. So we'll finish up with that at the end. Okay, so we'll get going. Just to speed things up a little bit, I just have a brief presentation here on how you would get started with BrightPay in terms of installing it from our website. So I'll just bring up the PowerPoint here. 1 second. Sorry, one technical hitch. Sorry, Karen, please borrow you. Yeah, sorry. Just need the PowerPoint up. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's it. Okay, sorry, guys. Monday morning hitches. Okay, so to get started with BrightPay, first of all, you just need to visit our website, which is www.brightpay.co.uk. And once you're on the website there, you will see this try by link at the top of the page. This will bring you through to where you can download the software. So all you need to do is simply click the download button, and at the prompt, when you're asked whether you want to run or save, simply select run to begin the setup. So once you've clicked run, you'll be brought through to the BrightPay setup wizard, and all you need to do here is simply click on next. You'll then be given our end user license agreement, so we recommend you just have a read through that, and if you're happy with everything, just tick to accept and then click next again. You're then asked where you would like to install BrightPay. Now, BrightPay, the way it works is that the program itself, that sits locally, so you will always install that to your local PC, so your own machine basically. The data files then, so once you start setting up employer files, they can then sit in a location of your choice away from where your program has been installed. So that location, especially if you're in a bureau environment, can be a network, a server, or a cloud environment, for example. So we always recommend, maybe if you're happy to do so, just install to the default location and click on next and click on install just to complete the installation. So that then is literally a couple of minutes that takes, and then you'll be prompted that it's finished, and all you need to then is click on finish, and if you return to your desktop screen, you will then have the BrightPay icon that you'll use going forward to access the software. Okay, so I'll just return back to the software now. So I have my BrightPay already installed here. I have a couple of companies already set up here, which I'll just be using later on in the training. But what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to take you through setting up an employer for the very first time. And this is done by clicking down at the bottom where it says New Employer. And again, this will take you into a setup wizard. So I'm just going to click on Next. Now, you'll be presented with 3 options. So you're asked how you would like to use BrightPay. So 3 options are available to you, just depending on your requirements. I suppose the most common one is to start at the beginning of the tax year in question. So that means you'll be back in April, week 1, month 1, fortnight 1, etc. Alternatively, it could be a brand new company that has set up mid-tax year. So in that case, you would be selecting the option 2, which is to start part way in the current 15-16 tax year. And thirdly, you are given the option to continue part way in the 15-16 tax year. This one is the one you will be using, especially if you're migrating from another software provider. So say you've decided to switch mid-year, you already have year-to-date figures for employees. The third option there, excuse me, the one that's highlighted on the screen, is the one you're going to choose, because that will allow you to import or bring in your mid-year totals to date. So for the purpose of today's training, I'm just going to start at the beginning of the tax year, and I click on Next. So you're asked for simple, basic, excuse me, employer information here. So your employer name and address. I'm just going to quickly type in some information here and address. Okay, and I click on Next. The next screen then asks for your employer registration details. HMRC office name is optional, it's not required by the software, but you will need your employer PAYE reference at this point, and if you have it to hand, your accounts office reference as well. That's not needed straight away if you don't have that to hand, but you will need it for submitting your RTI submissions later on. So again, I'll just quickly type in some details here. Okay. Then you're asked whether you qualify for small employers relief. If you do, leave the box ticked. If not, untick it. And then if the employer is providing a contracted out pension scheme, you can enter your employer contracting out number here. I'll just pop that in here. Okay, and click on Next. BrightPay facilitates employees to be assigned to departments if required. Again, it's optional. And one of the features of BrightPay is that employees can be assigned to multiple departments if required. Those departments can then be used in each pay period. So if you've got somebody working 50% in marketing, for example, and 50% in sales in the one pay period, you can assign that weighting. And that facilitates then you know, if you're generating payroll reports, you can get really, you know, your departmental analysis from that. So again, if you wish to use departments, we'll just set up a couple here and click on Next. Unlimited departments can be added. There's no set limit on that. You just simply keep clicking Add Another to add them in. Excuse me. So on the next screen then, you're asked I suppose, what your typical employee is. This is really to speed things up for you. So if most of your employees are on a weekly pay frequency, for example, just when you're setting up a new employee record, by default, these settings will flow through for you. So here you're asked, you know, do you have a typical pay frequency? Is there a typical pay basis? For example, do you pay a set basic amount or an hourly rate, for example? What your typical pay method is it check or credit transfer, for example? When does your typical annual leave year start, etc., and so on. So again, you can set these up at this point just to speed things up for you later on. So we'll click on Next. If you have your staging date already for your auto-enrollment, or if you have already staged, you can enter your staging date in the software at this point. If not, there is a function in BrightPay where you can add it in at a later date. So I'm just going to continue past this. You're then asked, if you wish, to password protect the employer file. So you have a choice here. You can either use a password or you can choose not to set a password as you wish. So I'll just set one up here and then save and finish. Okay. So at this point, just as I mentioned a little bit earlier there, your data files, your employer files sit away from your installation program. So it's at this point that you can choose where you put these files. So like I say, in a bureau environment, this might be a network or a server. So you may wish to set up a central folder somewhere and all users save back into that one folder there. So I'm just going to save mine here. Okay. And that's my employer file now set up. So I'm now in my employer file. Okay, so that's the basic setup of the employer details. So now you're in the software, you'll be presented with 7 tab headings across the top, all serving a different purpose. To view what we've just done, you simply access the employer section here. Okay, and under Edit Employer Details here is highlighted. You'll see that the information I've just set up has carried through for me. It can be edited here and additional information can be added into. For example, you may have a trade name that you wish to bring in. If I come to registration details, again, there's my employer POIE reference, my accounts office reference, etc. I have a few more options here now. So for example, if you pay using direct backs, you will possibly have a service user number, and that can be entered on this screen here. Again, if you're a company, you might pop your corporation tax reference in, etc. So a few more things that you can do within the employer utility. Here again are your typical employee settings. So again, if you want to amend them in any manner, you can pop in here. And again, a few more options here. So for example, for your tax refunds, you know, whether you withhold them when somebody's pay is zero, if you have your own sick pay scheme in place that you want to basically turn off the statutory sick pay calculations occurring. And again, if you pay by direct backs, BrightPay can automatically create the sub-references that are required per employee there, simply by ticking the box here. Okay. Most importantly in the employer section is the RTI submissions section here, and this is where you're going to come to enter your sender ID and password required to basically to submit your full payment submissions, employer payment summaries, etc. So here you'll be asked for your sender type, so from the aspect of being an employer, agent, or bureau. And then your sender ID. I'm just going to put some test credentials in here. Okay, and then contact name, etc. That's all that will flow through there. Okay, and save changes. Okay, so that section needs to be filled in for the purpose of your RTI. Across the top, then you will see a number of items here. And these are basically what we call global items, and this means that anything you set up within, for example, hourly rates, daily rates, additions, deductions, etc., it means then that those pay items will be available for selection across all employee pay slips. So rather than being on an employee level, if I set up an addition, say for mileage expenses, for example, it will be available for me to pop onto everybody's pay slip if required. Again, you have the option here, department. So if you hadn't set them up at the beginning, you can come in here at any time and add or amend these. And if we pop into hourly rates, so if I just click in here. So if I'm to set up a new hourly rate, for example, so it could be that I have employees working the weekend. So I made, for example, Sunday rate, just as an example here, and it could be £20 an hour. And then I can tell BrightPay whether it's an overtime rate or not, again for departmental analysis and for the holiday calculations. And I save. Okay, and then to add more, I simply click on New. And again, my rate here and tick whether it's an overtime rate or not, and save. So those now on all my employee pay slips, I'll be able to choose those rates if need be. Likewise, I can do the same with a daily rate. So somebody who's paid by the day. here. Okay, again, specify whether it's overtime or not, and save. Same with additions and deductions. So if I click into addition type here, we already have set up for you, I suppose, the most commonly used ones. So they're already in the software every time you set up an employer file. So you'll see here if I just select commission. When you're setting up a new addition type, you're allowed, basically you have flexibility over what the deductions are on it. If I just click on new actually here, and we'll just do a new one here, say it's mileage, sorry. Okay, so the user has control here, so you would then tell BrightPay whether tax can be deducted from it, national insurance, and or whether it's pensionable as well. So you either tick the box like so, or untick as required. So mileage, I'm going to leave them all unticked. You can also enter a default amount as well. So if it's a set amount that's going to be applicable to the employees that you assign this addition type to, then this will flow through automatically. So you could say it's £50, for example, here. Or if it's going to be changeable, you can leave blank. You can also set the repetition on any addition and deduction. So you can say whether it's applicable to the one pay period only, or whether to repeat until manually removed. So once you've applied it to an employee's pay slip, it will stay there until you choose to remove it yourself. Okay, and then we're just going to click on save there. Likewise, the same with deduction types. We have one set up for you already, payroll giving. But again, to set up new deduction types, I could just come in here, say you have a lottery syndicate on the go, and say it's £5 every week, for example. I may set it up like so here, save. Okay. There is a facility here if the company operates a savings scheme for its employees. The facility is here. So you can pop into savings schemes. For example, Christmas fund, anything like that, holiday fund. And again, you can choose whether it to be a percentage that an employee contributes, whether it's an employer contribution, if any, and what the set amount is. So it could be, say, £25 that the employee is putting in all the time, and save. Okay. Bank accounts then. BrightPay facilitates unlimited employer bank accounts to be added into the software. So if you're using credit transfer to pay your staff, this is where you will come to set up your employer bank details. So if I pop into bank accounts here, simply click on add new bank account. Just quickly pop that in for you here. Bank. Some dummy bank information here. Okay, so BrightPay caters for if you are paying by credit transfer. If you're doing the bank file format there, you'll see here if I just click on this drop down here. These are all the banks that we currently cater for. So if you're uploading bank files to pay employees, these are the ones that we currently cover. So for example here we have, I've just chosen Barclays there. So it could be, excuse me, Barclays bank file format that I'm selecting here. I think at this stage we have an awful lot of the banks covered, but if it comes to like that there's one, you can't see the one that you require, do let us know, because all we need to do is get the file specification in from the bank in question, and it's very quick for us to bring it in. Okay, and I saved that file there. Okay, so that's all your employer information set up, and that can be accessed at any time, so it doesn't have to be done right from the start. Okay, so just moving on then, the next step would be to set up your employees here. So I'm going to click into the employees utility. Employees can be set up in two ways. Firstly, they can be set up manually, or they can be brought in using CSV file import option. So I'll show you both. So first of all, I'll set up an employee manually for you. So all I need to do here is simply click on Add New Employee. So once you've clicked to set up a new employee record, you will be given 6 sections here just to fill in for the employee. So I'll just quickly work through this with you. So the first screen is personal information. Some mandatory requirements here for RTI are the full name and the surname of the employee, their gender. If you don't have a national insurance number, then you will need their address in too. Optional fields then are the date of birth and the passport number. But we always say if you have that information, do put it in, just so you have everything to hand. So I'll just set up employee details here quite quickly. Okay. Okay, as I say, gender is a required field, date of birth optional, so just example, nationality if you have, so fill in as much as you can, for example. What you can do here as well on this screen is add an email address in for the employee, or more than one if you have more than one, and that will facilitate if you wish to email pay slips and P60s to employees at the end of the year, or your pay slips on an ongoing basis. So if you have an email address, that can be added here. Example. And to add more, simply click on add and add away basically. Again, contact phone numbers can be put in here too. So moving on, if I click into employment, if you have works numbers or employee numbers that you use, these can be added here. Okay, and then here, this is where you set up your department. So I can assign my employee here to say she's in admin and also in sales. I can also set the weighting here as well. So it could be that she does say 75% of her week. It's quite sensitive to get it right. In admin and then 25% in sales, I can set the weighting here. On the same screen here under employment, you're also then asked, this is for their annual leave entitlement. So BrightPay can keep a track of holiday leave. So again, you'll be asked when their annual leave year starts. For example, you can choose the date, the method that you wish to use. So is it, for example, set number of annual leave days, or if paid by the hour, is it one of the 4 options here? You can set that there. How many annual leave days they get in a year. And also if you operate, where employees are allowed to carry over annual leave from the previous year. So that's an option there. You also asked what their working days are, and it's important that this section is filled in. This is really because it's going to link in if there's any statutory payments and like sick pay, things like that. In terms of the calculation, this is where it will get some of the information from in calculating the figures for you. So I'm going to leave this that they're working Monday to Friday, a 5-day week here. Start and leave I'm going to come back to. We'll be covering that a little bit later on. And if I just click into payment now, so in the payment screen, this is where you're going to tell BrightPay how the employee is to be paid. So you're first asked basically for their pay frequency. So we cover 6 pay frequencies: weekly, fortnightly, 4-weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Okay, so you simply select the one you require. I'm going to go with weekly here. And then you have 3 options then in terms of how is the employee to be paid. So is it on a weekly rate, stroke annual salary basis? Are they paid a daily rate or an hourly rate? So again, I'm just going to use that top option. And then you can enter in the figure that they are to be paid, and the annual salary will be calculated for you. If they also have an hourly rate, if they do overtime, anything like that, that can also be added in here too, if required. Then their payment details, so how are they to be paid? So cash, check, credit, transfer. I'm just going to pop this lady on credit transfer just so I can show you how the bank file works in a little while. So 23. For example, there. Okay. So that's that screen completed. Tax and IC and RTI then, if we just take a look at this, I suppose this is where the employees' revenue details are going to be entered. So first of all, their tax code. By default, BrightPay will always put in what the personal allowance code is, the one for 1560. So that's 1060L. That can be changed if need be. It could be basic rate, for example, D1, etc. So you change as required. Then the national insurance table. So again, by default, we always default to national insurance table A. But if that's to change, you can simply click on Change Table and select the relevant options. So for example, the person could be between 16 and 21, and that would be table M, for example, be in contracted out pension scheme, so that will give us table D. So BrightPay will automatically calculate the correct table for you. Okay, so just for easiness today, I'm just going to pop them back on table A. A couple of other questions there. Student loan. So if the employee is liable for student loan deductions, simply tick the box there. BrightPay will then calculate the required amounts for you. So I'll just tick that box there, for example. And then if you have the start date and stop date of the student loan, then they can be entered. Again, this is optional. National insurance number then. Option 1 here, for example. And then you're asked if they are a director. So this is the section you're going to come into if you do have a director to set up. And all you will do differently here, simply tick the box. You're then asked if the directorship has started, I suppose, mid-year, what the start of directorship is, and that's the BrightPay can prorata the thresholds for the national insurance. And also, if it comes to an end in the year, what the end date is as well. By default, BrightPay will calculate a director's NIC on the annual basis. So if you wish to calculate director's national insurance using the alternate method, then you will just simply tick this button here to use the alternate method for calculating director's NIC. Okay, and I'll just untick that there. Okay. Underneath that then, this is information required for full payment submissions. So you require a payroll ID, first of all. Again, BrightPay, to just avoid you having to kind of think of payroll IDs yourself, BrightPay will automatically create these for you. The most important thing to bear in mind here, though, is if you are migrating from a different software provider mid-year, it's important to use the same payroll IDs from that previous software. So there would be manual, for you to come in here and manually type those in. Or if you're doing an import, they will import in for you. So just something to bear in mind. Otherwise, HMRC, it has been known that where they see two different payroll IDs for one employee, they take it that it's a new employee, so you'll end up with duplicate records at their side. So just something to bear in mind there. You then ask for their contracted hours per week. So again, HMRC's requirement that you choose one of these options here. Okay. Also the tick box if the employee is on an irregular payment pattern. So it could be seasonal workers, they only come in the summer, for example. So basically what HMRC would say, if they're going to be, if you're not going to pay them for, I suppose, a period of 3 months or more, it could be somebody on maternity leave as well, or a long-term sick, that you just come in and tick this box, and then that will be reported on the FPS, and then HMRC will not treat them that they have left the business. A new requirement, well, I suppose, just with the new pension things that have come into play, there is the button here. So anybody who draws down their pension in their lump sum, going through the payroll, excuse me, you can tick to say that the employee is flexibly accessing their pension rights here. So that's another FPS requirement there. Finally, then you have the HR section. This is an optional field, an optional section. You can fill it in if you require. So again, just a bit more information about the employees. It could be their job title, for example. So their starting salary is, for example, when their review date is. This is where it says secure PDF password as well. This is particularly useful if you are emailing payslips and P60s, in that you can password protect them so that the recipient needs to enter the password to be able to view their payslip. So for example, I'll pop one in here. So again, in most cases, the employer would provide you with that password that they want to use. Okay, and that's the employee record setup. So simply click on Save, and your employee will now be added to the listing. Okay. Now to continue, you would simply click on New Employee and repeat the same process if you're setting up manually. However, as I just mentioned before, there is the facility to bring in employee details via CSV format. This is particularly useful, again, sorry, pardon my throat today, if you are migrating from another software provider and you already have employee records set up elsewhere. This really will speed things up for you. I have a dummy CSV file here, so I'll just show you how it works. So you'll simply go to the File heading, and you'll be given the option to import export data, and then import employees from a CSV file. So all you do then, you browse to where your CSV file is. I have one here. Okay, and it will bring all the information in that's in the CSV file. Just to speed things up this morning, because there's a good few fields to assign, but basically for each column that you have, you simply click on the drop-down menu at the top of each column and you choose what the information represents. So I have title there, I have name there, I have surname, etc. And if I just go across there, you see I've just done this for you just to speed it up. You basically gender, date of birth. You carry on doing that all the way across. Okay. When ready, once you've done that, you simply click on Import and your employee details are added in for you. So very, very quick. So if previous software allows you to export employee information in CSV file or even Excel, and then that can be converted to CSV, that will come in fine for you, nice and quick for you. So I have my employees all set up here now. Okay, so moving on then. So once you have your employee records in, you're now ready to start processing your payroll, and that's done by clicking on the payroll heading to access the payroll utility. So before you get going, BrightPay will ask you to set up your payment schedules, and that will be based on the number of pay frequencies that I have across all my employees. So I've set up employees who are to be paid weekly and also monthly. So I'm being asked for basically to set up my weekly and monthly schedule. So 2 pieces of information is required per pay frequency. First of all, what your pay date is going to be. So for weekly, my first weekly pay date will be, I'm just going to, for the ease of this, just leave it as the 10th of April. And you're also asked, well, when are you paying for? So especially with weekly payroll, you can be paying in arrears. So that date could be a week back, for example. It could be the 3rd of April, for example, there. So when are you paying for? I'm just going to say the 9th of April here. Okay. It's so important to get this right from the start. And what you can do is click on Preview, and that will give you a breakdown of your weeks there. It's particularly important if you, again, we keep coming back to it, but if you are migrating from another software provider, just to keep your weeks or pay periods in track with what you've done already. So we do recommend you have a quick preview and just make sure you've got the correct number of weeks, etc., or months in this example, and then when ready you can press Continue. Again, my monthly schedule here, I'm just going to leave that I'm paying at the end of the month for the last day of the month, and I can press Continue. Again, you have an awful lot of flexibility on when you're paying for. Okay, so I'm going to click on Continue. And this now takes me through to the payroll functionality. So you'll see here, first of all, I've got two bars across the top. So these are my two pay frequencies. They run independent to one another. So if I wanted to go into monthly, I would just click into monthly here and then back to weekly. Across the top, I suppose we refer to these as tiles. So these represent each of your weeks and each of your months. And where you see a little head, like a head and shoulders symbol, that means you have open pay slips still to be finalized. So you'll see here I'm at month 1 and week 1 based on my schedule. Here then is what we call the summary view. So it's a payroll preview of your employees basically at a glance. So to start processing and adding pay items to an employee's pay slip, I simply click on my first employee here, and that brings me through to the pay slip view. Okay, so we have Jemima Appleby here. BrightPay facilitates the option to add unlimited pay items to any employee's pay slip. So simply here, so with a weekly pay here, this is flowing through from the employee's record. I can click on add, and I can add things like another weekly pay, hourly pay, daily pay, again, unlimited. Also a number of unlimited additions and deductions. And BrightPay also caters for the statutory payments, if any, and attachment orders, which I'll cover in a little while here. With additions and deductions, then when I click on add, you'll see here these are the ones that we've set up within the employer section. They're flowing through, and depending whichever employee I select, they will all be there for selection there. Okay. So an unlimited number of pay items can be added, as just mentioned. So if I'm to add, say, a couple of additions to this employee's pay slip, I simply click on add and select the addition I require and type in the amount. As I'm typing in amounts, this is over on the right-hand side, this is the employee's pay slip, and as I type, that is a live calculation that's occurring. So there's no save button as such. As I type, this is reflecting my changes over here. So I've added an addition. I can add a further addition if required. For example, there may be commission, for example, and also any deductions. So it could be that she's in the lottery. And again, that's the default amount I have set up in the employer section here. Where you see a spanner symbol, that means that there's further functionality connected to the pay item that you've set up. So just under weekly pay here, if I click on the spanner, excuse me, you can see here, most importantly, you have the option, say, to perform a net to gross here. So it could be that I want 500 to be the net pay, and I click on calculate, and BrightPay will work that out automatically for you. Again, here you've got the departmental weighting, so I may just wish to set that back. Could be, say, I want 50-50 in this particular pay period, and I can do that. Next to the additions and deductions as well, with the spanner here, here you have the option again to set weighting. So it could be, a good example here is the commission. Say she was in this, that's simply relating to the sales department only. I can set the weighting to reflect that it was 100% sales. Again, for my departmental analysis. And again, it could be that, for example, with the lottery, I can set the repetition. I can change the repetition here. So I could say, well, look, repeat up to, you know, possibly say the end of August there. And as I reach that point in the payroll, that deduction will then disappear for me. You can also reorder items. So I may just want the lottery at the top, just as an example here, and I can move them around and move up and move up. Simply for the pay slips, when you print or email the pay slip, the additions and deductions will be in that order. Other things you can do here, you can add either an employee or an employer note if need be. So a note for employee, that will appear on the employee's pay slip. If adding a note for the employer, that won't appear on the pay slip, but as you're working away in BrightPay and clicking, going through the pay slips, maybe going back historically, you'll always have those notes on screen there, so they don't flow through anywhere. they stay within your BrightPay. Okay, so once you have one employee payslip completed, you simply select the next employee. Okay, so you'll see here that Ronan Burton here, he's paid by the hour. So I can enter what his hours are. So we could have done, say, 30 hours here. And then I may just want to add another hourly rate. So again, unlimited hourly rates, etc. can be added in. And it could be 10 hours here. If I click on the little drop down here, that's his standard rate. So say it's overtime he's done. I have the option here then to convert that to, say, time and a half, time and a third, time and a quarter, etc. Double time, triple time. You'll see the pattern there. You see at the bottom here, these are the global items I set up, so I could select that too, for example, and it will flow through onto his pay slip there. Again, with the hourly paid employees, additions and deductions can be set up as required. There, for example, and again, notes, etc., so it's all the same. My next employee then, she's an example of somebody who is daily paid. So I can see here that she, by default, there's 5 days flowing through onto her pay slip at £100 per day. So with Simone Pendleton here, that 5 days is coming from her typical working days. If I look in here, in her employment section, she's ticked to work Monday to Friday, so 5 days. With the daily paid employees, this is all connected with their calendar. So if I click into her calendar here and just mark, say, the 8th of April as a non-work day, you'll see here then that BrightPay has picked up then that she only worked 4 days in that week. So it will automatically calculate that for you. If that's a function you don't like, that can be turned off by unticking the button within the spanner stroke edit facility here. Okay. So that can, so simply all you will do is just work through each employee appropriately. Just 1 second there. Okay, so once completed, if you return back to the week summary here, so if you wish to print this summary view, sometime I know from calls that we get that some people like to send this off to clients first just to make sure that you know, they're happy with everything before they finalize. This can be printed or exported by going to More and print and export summary for week ending, you know, etc., relevant to the week or pay period that you're doing. So that can be sent off initially. Once happy with your pay period, then the next step is to click on Finalize Pay Slips at the top. Okay, so by default, BrightPay will tick all employees for updating all at the same time. So if you're happy with that and you're ready to go, all you would do is simply click on OK at the bottom, and that basically closes off that pay period for you. In the event that you don't want to update all employees at the same time, it could be that you're waiting on timesheets for certain employees, or that you want to just maybe process your credit transfer employees, something like that. You can untick those employees that you don't want to finalize and click on OK. Okay, so you'll see then the employees I have finalized have a green tick against their name. That means that they have been finalized in that pay period. And you'll now see that I have 2 heads on my payment bar at the top. And that will indicate to me that I still have pay slips outstanding in week 1, but also now that I've got open pay slips in week 2. If then you wish to finalize the other people, if I click on Finalize Pay Slips, it could be that you have 2 pay dates. So BrightPay will facilitate that. It could be that you want to pay on the 11th for these people, and I click on OK. Okay, and that, you know, the whole of week 1 is then finalized for you. Okay, so you'll see now if I just go to the RTI section, number 2 has appeared next to my RTI here, and that means now that you now have 2 full payment submissions created by BrightPay and ready for submission to HMRC. So if I just click in here now, you'll see your full payment submissions are here. Because I used 2 pay dates in week 1, I have 2 full payment submissions to put through. So all you would do is simply click on Full Payment Submission. The details here are on the screen, and these can be printed and exported should you wish. See here, all the details here. And then when ready, you simply click on Send Now. Now I'm in a test environment now, so I can't get this submission through, but you would simply click on Send Now, and you then get confirmation back pretty quickly that it's been accepted by HMRC. I'm just going to use this little facility here just to mark it as done for you. So I'm going to mark as sent and accepted by HMRC. Okay. And this is the kind of confirmation you will get back from HMRC when you're in a live situation. And likewise, for the second submission here, I would click on Send, Send Now. But in this case, I'm going to mark as sent already. Okay, and that's your full payment submissions submitted. So just returning to payroll then, so once you've finalised your pay slips, you have three options available for providing your employees with those pay slips. So you have a print pay slip option, you have email pay slips, or to export them to PDF. That's particularly useful again if you want, if your client requires you to send their pay slips direct to them, and then they will distribute them from their side, and that's where that option comes in handy. So to print the pay slips, simply click into the option here, and again by default all employees will be ticked. So first of all, select the employees who you wish to print, for example. So I'll just select some of these here. You're given here as well filter options, so it could be set departments or by payment method, for example, that you do here. Then you're asked for your payslip type. So we facilitate a number of options here. First of all, with BrightPay, you are not required to use payslip stationery. You can print onto plain A4 paper if required. So there's a saving there on payslip stationery. So most commonly you can print 2 per page on an A4 blank sheet. But we do facilitate then printing 1 payslip per page on A5 size paper. That's a landscape print. Should you wish to use payslip stationery, then BrightPay does their own. It's under the name of I suppose BrightPay, we're under Thesaurus Software Limited. So Thesaurus do their own payslip stationery. We do 2 types. We do a 2 per page payslip type, simply a piece of A4 paper perforated in the middle. And with that then, we then do the window. We've supplied the window envelopes for the payslips to sit into. The second option that we have is A4 security stationery, and that is a single sheet, and it's 1 payslip per sheet, and basically once you've printed it, it has the seals, so you can seal it, the employee address comes out on it, and it can be obviously posted if required. So there's that type too. If you require any information or a sample pack sending, please do let us know and we can arrange that for you. We're also compatible as well with, say, one type of Sage payslip and Iris payslip as shown here. Again, this I suppose just a request from current users where they may be switched to BrightPay and they have a good bulk of payslip stationery left over from using Sage, so we do facilitate printing onto this type here, and also for Iris, the FY95 payslip type. Okay, so I'm just going to use it as the blank setting here. You then have this options menu here at the top right, and this will allow you to customize what appears on the payslip for the employee. We do, obviously, the required fields are there and they can't be removed, but you could say, well, I don't actually want the BrightPay logo to appear, so I'm going to turn that off. I don't want to show payment method, for example. I would like to show annual leave on the payslip. So you have complete control over this, what you show, and you can tweak it and edit it to suit your employer needs. Okay, so when ready, you can click on Print Preview. And there is an example of an employee payslip there. So you'll get the preview first of all here, and then when ready you can press print to send to the printer. Okay, so that's the print payslip option. Moving on then to if you wish to email the payslips, So if I click into the email payslips option here, so you will only be given employees for whom you have an email address entered in their employee record. So I have 4 employees here. So again, over on the right-hand side, you are given the options menu, again, for you to choose what appears on that email payslip. So you can choose that. Once you've set it, that's there then each pay period thereafter. You don't have to do that every pay period. You're then asked just to enter a reply to email address. I'll just use a colleague here, just because we're in a test environment. And again, you can CC a copy as well. More than one person wants to receive a copy. And then you're then just asked basically what the content of the when the employee receives the payslip, what the message is going to read on their email there. Okay, and then when happy, just simply click on send email and off they go. Okay, I'm just going to cancel that because just we're in the test environment here. So that's the email payslip option. Very similar then, the export payslips. Again, you have the options menu over on the right hand side just to tell BrightPay what you want to show and what not to show. And again, click on export and they will export the payslips for you for sending on whatever you require to do with them then. Okay. Moving across then the menu bar, so for our finalised week 1, we are then given the option to basically, I suppose, access a breakdown of the employee's pay. So if I just click into pay employees here, so this is where you will find, I suppose, your breakdowns, your pay breakdowns. So here, for example, if you're paying any employees by cash, under the cash payment section, you will have the employees listed. And this, should it be of use to you or not, it tells you, how many notes make up the amount that they need to be paid. Check payments then as well. Here you'll get a listing for your check payments for those employees paid by check. I suppose most importantly, one to show you here is the credit transfers here. So any employees you have set up to pay by credit transfer will be listed here. So I have just the one employee here. And if you remember there in the employer section, I set up an employer bank account. And this is where you will come if you are paying your employees using the electronic transfer method and you need to produce a bank file. So that's done here by clicking on bank file. And again, you'll see here by default, here's the bank account that I set up. And again, I can select the bank file format if need be, if I haven't done it already. Okay. So all this would what you just need to do here is choose a name for your file, click on save, choose a location to save the file to. That's your bank payment file created in BrightPay. And all you would do then is log on to the appropriate banking software and upload that file that's now, in my situation here, just sat on the desktop there. Or again, it can be that you email it back to a client for them to upload it at their side. So that's how the bank payment file works. Again, a nice quick process. Okay. Okay, so moving on. So that's week 1 completed in my BrightPay there. So when you're ready to move on to week 2, simply click on next week here. Okay. So again, I have my summary view. One feature of BrightPay is that it always remembers what you've done the week before, the pay period before. So all those figures will flow through for you there. Okay, bear with me. So a couple of extra things you can do. If I just show you, I suppose additional functionality in the payroll function there. Under the More heading here, should it be that you don't want the amounts to come through, or you want to just have a fresh start every pay period, there is the option here to zeroize your pay slips. So I can just come in here, I'm presented with all my employees, and I can tell then BrightPay what I want to basically clear down in that pay period. So it says choose the items to zeroize below. It could be, for example, that those that are paid by the hour, you want a fresh start every pay period for the hourly paid people. So I could say, just to undo these, just to just cleared down my hourly paid employees there. So I click on OK. Yeah. So you sure you want to zeroize them. So if I go into Ronan Burton, who was paid by the hour in week 1, I've now got his hours cleared out there. Okay, so there's the option there if you wish to use it. What BrightPay can also do is it can also import pay data using CSV file format. And that's done here under Import Pay Records from CSV file. So the kind of things that can be brought in via CSV file are basic payments, daily payments, your hourly payments, the importing of any additions, importing of any deductions, and any notes as well that you wish to bring in. So for example here, I've just zeroized my hourly paid staff. So say I want to bring in their pay data using an hourly payment import. I can select this option here. I can browse to my CSV file here. Okay, and again, just to speed things up, I have this set up again for you. But again, you would simply work through each column and assign what each column represents, etc. And then click on Import. There we go. And it's brought in Ronan's hours for me. Okay. And again, say you then had additions to bring in, for example, you would just repeat the process and choosing the relevant option here. So that's there for you if need be. Another handy feature is, especially I suppose as you get further down the line with your payroll, under the Add button, you were given the option to copy payments from a previous pay period. So again, I've only got 1 week processed at the moment, but if I had more than one, I would have a list here to choose from. So I can quickly copy payments from, if it's a duplicate week, I can bring in the pay items from a previous period there. So that's an option there. And also under more here, it could be just to speed things up for you, that there's a set addition or a deduction or a note that you want to add to all employees, payslips, or a number of employees, and you can do that using the multiple payslip options here. So it could be that I come in here and I want to add a note. Here, and I can say add to all these employees, and that will be on each employee's pay slip for me. So just to speed things up for you there. So a few options there also to set, for the full payment submissions, contracted hours, irregular payment patterns, etc. Again, can be set across a number of pay slips at the one go. Okay. BrightPay also facilitates the switching of an employee's pay frequency as well. So for example, you may have a weekly paid employee who wishes to switch to monthly, for example. So we do have that facility there as well, if need be. To use it though, I suppose your weeks need to be, in this example, your weeks need to be in line with a month. So you would have to be maybe at week 4 in your payroll to be able to then switch to, say, the month of May. But the option is there to switch here. Okay. Okay, so as I said, BrightPay will always remember what's in the pay period before. So if you're happy with that, you just work through each employee again, and if you need to change any pay, you can simply hop in here and change the amounts as needed there. Okay. So again, you would just repeat the same process, finalize pay slips, and that will create an RTI for you for submission. Just to show you, just before I update week 2, I'm just going to show you then how attachment orders work. So any employee for whom you receive an attachment order, these can be done by simply clicking on, let me just put my information here, simply clicking on the employee in question here, and under the additions and deductions section, simply click on Add, and you will have the option here for attachment orders. So I just click in here. So under Add Attachment Order, these are the ones that we currently cater for. So I think we have the majority of them covered. Again, if you come across any that we don't specifically deal with, just let us know. It's not too much hassle really from our side just to bring those in. So say, for example, it's somebody with a council tax attachment of earnings. Simply click on that option there. Enter a description. Here, and then the reference. put just some dummy information for you here. Then the date it has been made and date to apply from. Okay, and then the date to stop if you have that. We'll just go on a little bit here. Let's do that here. And then in the amount and status section then, you will be given the option to state whether it is a priority attachment order, so simply tick the box if it is. And then whether, if you're wanting to charge the admin charge of £1, if you tick this box here, BrightPay will automatically deduct £1 as well for you. You then ask what the total amount to be paid is, so we'll just say it's 500, and if there has been a cumulative amount paid at the start, again, it could be that £100 has already been paid off that, and then we save here. Okay, so if I return to the employee's payslip now, you will then see that attachment of earnings order flowing through automatically for you, and will remain there until such time that it's paid back, or etc. Okay. Again, with the little spanner, if you ever want to view the details of that, you have the quick shortcut link just to view the details again. Okay, so they'll remain there for you. Okay, so I'm going to finalise payslips for week 2. Okay, there's my RTI. I'm just going to mark that as sent or up to date. And then I'm into week 3 now in my payroll. Okay, so I'll just move on now just how BrightPay handles any mid-year starters or leavers. So we'll look at mid-year starters first of all. So if an employee joins mid-tax year, the procedure to follow basically is first of all just to go into the employee utility and click on New Employee and set their details up accordingly. I'm just going to use a little cheat key here that I have here. We'll get a normal looking name here. Okay, so set up their record accordingly, and this is when the starter leaver section comes into play. So with a new employee starting mid-year, you're going to click into starter leaver and enter their start date in. So I'll say that they're starting in on the 20th of April, for example, here. Okay. By entering a start date in the current tax year, you'll then be given extra information to fill in. So first of all, to state whether they have an overseas employer and whether they continue to be employed by the overseas employer. And if not, then to choose the relevant starter declaration, so A, B, or C. If I choose B or C, you will then be given 2 more fields to enter in what their taxable pay and what their, from previous employment and what their tax already paid is too. So again, I'll just pop some dummy information in here. Okay, and I save the record. I'm just going to pay a lower amount there and save. Okay, so she's now added to my listing, and if I return to the payroll screen here, you'll see now because her start date was the 20th of April, she's been added to my week 3 because that's week ending the 23rd of April. So BrightPay will always pick up on the start date and put them into the relevant pay period for you. So there's my Maria Woods, and she's ready for processing. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So that's all you would need to do for a starter. Once I finalise the payslips, her details will then be included in the full payment submission that will be created, and I'll show you that just in a second. I just want to show you then in the same pay period here if somebody leaves. So for anybody leaving mid-tax year, again, very straightforward. Say my employee here, Donna Roberts, that she's leaving. I have 2 ways of entering her leave date. I can either go into her employee record and enter the leave date here in the box, or what I can do at the time of finalising payslips is click on the spanner symbol next to her name and enter her leave date here. So she's leaving, for example, on the 21st of April. Okay, and I click on Save. So you'll see here I have yes next to Donna Roberts now to indicate she's a leaver, and a green yes for Maria Woods to indicate that she's a starter. I'm going to click on OK. Okay, and if I just show you the FPS now, scroll down. Okay, so there's the leave date for Donna Roberts flowing through to the FPS for you. I find my new employee, Maria Woods. There's all her start date information here for reporting to HMRC. Again, just send that off to HMRC. They've received that information. So just returning here to Donna Roberts. So she's left. So you'll now have the P45 button in her employee record. So simply click on that, and you can either print this onto blank A4 paper, or if you have pre-printed HMRC stationery that you wish to use, simply select that option instead. So I'll just do a preview for you for blank A4, and that's again ready for printing or exporting to PDF as required to give to the employee. Okay. So that's how you handle starters and leavers. So just moving on then. So we're now into week 4 of the payroll. Now, what can happen? Unfortunately, we're not all in a perfect world, and mistakes can happen in the payroll, or it can simply be that you were given pay information that has subsequently changed, and you do need to go back and make amendments. So when you need to go back to a previous pay period and correct something, this can be done in BrightPay, and it's quite easily done. So say, for example, that if I just go back into week 3, I have an employee here, Ben Taylor. So he was paid 500. Say in week 3, that pay should have been 600. Okay, so I now need to go back and just change that for him. So you'll see here, if I click into any previous pay period, I am given the option to reopen payslips on the menu bar. So if I click on this for you here, it could be that you need to correct just one payslip, or it could be a number of payslips. So you would either say select all, or select the people you require, or just select the one person as required. So if I'm just to reopen Ben Taylor's payslip here, I simply click on OK, and I can make the amendment. It remembers everything I've done in that pay period, and I finalise the payslip back up. Okay. Now you will notice I've made a change to pay, but I haven't been given a new RTI submission for that change, and that's because that particular FPS has already gone through to HMRC. So what you can do in this instance is to report those corrected year-to-date figures to HMRC. You can then pop into the RTI section, click on New, and you have the option to do an additional FPS. Okay. So it serves as an interim FPS. So I can come in here, select None, select my Ben Taylor, give a reason, so it's a correction in this instance to an earlier submission, click on OK, and I can send that off to HMRC just to report the changes that I've made. Okay. In the event I hadn't sent that full payment submission for that pay period, then the original FPS that would be sitting here on this screen, that would change to reflect the changes I've made to his pay slip. So that would automatically update for you. Okay. I just went back one pay period there, but you can go back as far back as you like and reopen back and build up the changes, and then the additional FPS will report the year-to-date changes that you've made. Okay. Okay, so just moving on then. BrightPay also handles all the statutory payments. So statutory sick pay, maternity pay, adoption pay, your paternity payments, and also the new shared parental pay that has come into effect since the beginning of this tax year. Okay, so if you have any employees who are going out going out on, say, sick leave or maternity pay, basically this is where their calendar comes into play. So on everybody's payslip, they will have the calendar link here, or you can use the calendar link on their employee record here too. Okay, so I'll just do an example here for an employee. So my Tanya Peters, just go back into the payroll. So I'll do an example with you first of all for somebody who's going out sick. So say my employee here, she's going to be out sick from the 24th of April until the 30th of April. So I have to use a calendar to mark this time off, basically. So what I do, I click on the calendar option, and I highlight the day she's going to be out sick. So she's out from the 24th to the 30th here. Also do a continuous line through, go through weekends, non-working days, etc. And over on the right-hand side, you select the applicable option. So she's on sick leave here. So you'll see down here that BrightPay will automatically calculate what the qualifying days are, also the number of waiting days, and then how many sick days she is entitled to for statutory sick pay. Okay, so once I've got that marked, I close the calendar, and you'll see that BrightPay will pick up the statutory sick pay. Now, because I'm at the start of the tax year here, I just don't have enough pay data in to be able to calculate the average weekly earnings for her. So I can use this spanner symbol here just to say to BrightPay, again, if you're confident that they have enough like average weekly earnings to qualify, you can tick to override the average weekly earnings calculation. So you'll see here in this particular week, she qualifies for 2 sick pay days. So she's getting 2 days of statutory sick pay, and 35.38 is flowing through for you. Okay. Should she continue to be off sick, you would then just carry on here, so from the 1st again, and mark through on the pay slip there. And if I finalise her pay slip and look at next week, the sick pay will continue to calculate for you. Okay. So moving on then, say to somebody who goes on maternity leave, just to show you that. So I'll take my Jemima Appleby here. Okay, so say she's going on maternity leave on Friday the 24th of April for her 39 weeks. So again, I click on her calendar here, and I select again, either the start of leave date or the expected birth date. So say I know that the expected birth date is the 8th of May, and I click parenting leave on the right-hand side, and I select maternity leave here. So I'll be given a pop-up window, so I just need to fill in a few more dates as such. So her expected birth date is the 8th. Say she's going on maternity leave on the 24th of April, and I can then choose the length of leave. So by default, we default to the 39 weeks. If she's going to be out for longer, say the whole 52 weeks, you can select that. BrightPay will only calculate the statutory maternity pay for the 39 weeks though, so as soon as the 40th week is reached, you won't see any payment flowing through. So I'll just leave it at 39 here. BrightPay then automatically calculates what the expected week of childbirth is, and then the qualifying week in order to establish average weekly earnings. So again, yes, that's done for you. And should she go out with a pregnancy-related illness and it's within the 4 weeks before the maternity leave is due to start, BrightPay then will amend the number of lengths of leave for you. Will kick in, the FMP will kick in for you. So I'm going to click on Save here, and you'll see that my calendar is now filled in for me, and I can see that she'll be due to return on the 21st of January 2016 here. So if I return back to the payroll here, so again, similar to the SSP, because the qualifying week is falling in a previous tax year, it means that BrightPay just doesn't have efficient information in to be able to calculate what the average weekly earnings are. So again, if I click on this spanner, if I do know everything's okay and she does have enough, I can say here that she's on 500 per week, and BrightPay will then calculate what she is entitled to. So for the first 6 weeks, then the upper rate will apply to 90% of the average weekly earnings there, and then from that point on, the standard rate of maternity pay will kick in for you. Okay. Other things that BrightPay will do with the statutory payments is, again, if I just access her calendar here, you can mark off any keeping in touch days. So if the employee returns to work for any day during her maternity leave period, I think it's 10 for statutory maternity, you can come in onto the calendar and mark the keeping in touch day on there. Sorry, I just have to go ahead. Keep in touch day. and it will keep a track of those for you. Once she's exceeded what she is allowed, then BrightPay will kick in and won't pay her the maternity pay for the pay period in question. Okay. So returning back, so there you'll see her maternity pay on her pay slip, and that will be on for the next 39 weeks. Okay. And then just to give you one more example then, just to show you the shared parental pay, how that works. So if I take Ronan Burton here, say he's going to take a block of shared parental leave. So again, I use his calendar like I do for all statutory payments. Okay. And I mark off here the date his shared parental leave is to commence. So I'm going to say it's going to commence on the 29th of April here. So again, I click on parenting leave, and I select the option to use shared parental leave here. So again, a few more things to fill in here on this screen. So first of all, the expected birth date. So just bear with me while I just pop a few dates in here. I'm going to say it's the 7th of April. Actual birth date we'll say is the 9th of April. And then say the maternity period did actually start on the 9th of March, and that the mother, her last payment date of SMP was the 19th of April. Okay, I'll just set this up for you here. So again, BrightPay works out what the qualifying week is for you, and you can tell BrightPay to calculate the average weekly earnings. Again, because the qualifying week is in a previous tax year, BrightPay are going to have all the information in. So at this stage, actually, I can type in what my average weekly earnings are. Okay, and click on Save. You then go into blocks of leave, and this is where you're going to set up the leave that the employee is taking. So every employee with the shared parental pay has the right to take 3 separate blocks, although the employee can agree to more should they wish to. All you need to do here is record what your employee is taking. However, you can record what the partner's taking too, and it's just a good record maybe as well. So I can say that Ronan is going to take, start to leave on the 29th of April, and he's going to take 2 weeks. It could be then that he wants to take another block, say in July, and he's going to take, say, 8 weeks then. So as soon as I reach the 1st of July in the payroll, that shared parental pay will kick in again. For RTI purposes, you just need details of the partner and her national insurance number, here's an example, and save, and you'll see then that my blocks of leave are filled in accordingly here. So if I just return back to the payroll then, now you'll see, unlike the other 2 employees, I have nothing flowing through here. There's nothing on screen for Ronan Burton. And that's because his start of leave date is the 29th of April. And if I just hover over my payment bar there, I can see this is week ending the 30th of April. Now, the way BrightPay works with the statutory payments is we use the full statutory week method, whereas I know other software providers might use the pro rata method. So with that, that means with BrightPay, statutory payments won't kick in until BrightPay sees a full 7 days occurring. With Jemima and Tanya, I had them going out on the 24th of April. So at the 30th of April, there was a 7-day block that could be seen, hence their payments kicked in. With Ronan, he's only going out on the 29th. So I do actually need to just finalize this section, this pay period. And if I just go into week 5 then, you can see here that the shared parental pay is kicking in this week because a full week has since passed for the statutory payment period. Okay, so just something to bear in mind if you are switching from another software provider, that there could be different methods used. What there is here actually, it's a little hidden key, but should you need it, I think that especially with the likes of Sage, I think where they use the pro rata method, sometimes you may think, well, I need to continue with that method until the period is up. What you can do is hold down the control button on your keyboard, click the spanner symbol, and this gives you the option to override the amount for you to type in what you need it to be. Okay, so again, just a useful little tip there. Okay, so that's the statutory payments. So they all work the same, the adoption pay, the parental pay, etc. I won't go into too many details, but they all work roughly the same. Okay. So at this point I've got 4 weeks of payroll set up. I would obviously be coming in here and just sending off my full payment submissions. But I just want to move on now to the HMRC payments utility here. I click in here. So the HMRC payments section of the software, this is keeping a track basically of what you owe to HMRC. Simply an admin tool. It's within BrightPay itself. It's not going off anywhere. There is sometimes a little bit of confusion. People think they can pay HMRC from BrightPay, but you can't. That has to be set up in a different manner. But this gives you an overview of what you owe in terms of your tax and NIC and things, and also what statutory payments you can recover. Okay. So when you first click in, you're asked just to set up your schedule. So how do you remit your payments to HMRC? Is that on a monthly or quarterly basis? So select accordingly and press continue. Okay, and you're given an overview here. So you have your tax column here, then your NIC column, and at the bottom it's keeping a track of what you owe basically. So within the tax column here, this is all being populated from your pay slips. If you've received anything from HMRC to refund tax, that can be entered here accordingly. And also if you have suffered any CIS deductions, that can be entered here too. So just pop 200 in there, for example. In the middle section then, this is your NIC. So again, these figures are all being brought through from your pay slips. You'll see here that I have my statutory maternity pay. So I have my recoverable amount here, any NIC compensation. So that's there for me too. On the same screen here as well, I can actually click here to claim the employment allowance. And all you would do here in BrightPay is basically send an EPS off to HMRC. Here. I just mark this as sent. So you send off your employer payment summary. And I come back in here and click on enable. I'll be asked, are you operating multiple PLE schemes? I say yes or no. I'll say no in this example. This will then allocate the £2,000 to this particular company. I say OK. And again, from the pay slips, BrightPay will calculate what the employer NIC is to date and deduct it accordingly from your amount due. Okay. So once ready, once you're happy, say it's the end of the month and you're due to make your payment to HMRC, you can come in here. You can simply fill in what you're paying them and then the payment date. And as I say, this is simply a record for yourself. It's not going off anywhere. Say we paid it on the 6th of May and save changes. Okay. I'll just come back to that message in a second. An awful lot of queries we do get, especially from bureau providers, is that they'll often say to us that they're not sure what date that their client has paid on. And also what amount they have paid. But don't worry about that. Like we say, it's an admin tool. You can leave the amount paid blank if need be. Now to move on to, that's my tax month 1 completed. To move on to month 2, I do need a payment date in. So if you are in that situation where you're not sure what date your client is paid on, we always say just put in May the end of the tax month date, so the 5th of May in this example. And so that means you can move on and view month 2, tax month 2 and what's owed them. Okay. So I had a little message come up there to say that I must submit an employer payment submission. And that's because I have statutory payments that I can recover and also CIS deductions suffered to report. So I have the yellow bar here, just again alerting me. So I can click on send now to do that, and it will automatically create my employer payment summary for me. And you'll see here I've got all my recoverable amounts to date here. And again, I simply click on send now, and that's my EPS submitted for the tax month. Alternatively, if I didn't use this option here, I can go into RTI, click on new and create the employer payment summary here instead. So it's another way around. It's one or the other. And again, by default, because BrightPay has detected that there's recoverable amount, that's already ticked for you. Likewise, the employer payment submission here, sorry, that like that again. Again, if you want to report a period of inactivity or no payment for period, or you want to include your bank details, things like that. They are all facilitated here. So say, for example, you've paid nobody for a period longer than the tax month, and you can report that no payment for period or any period of inactivity for the future. That can be done here and submitted. Okay, so I'm just going to mark as sent, and that's gone. Okay, that would be just basically an ongoing process for you. So finalise payslips, submit your full payment submissions, and then if needed, submit any employer payment summaries and recover any of your recoverable amounts, etc. as required. Okay, so just moving on then. So another, just I suppose one section we haven't really been in at the moment is the analysis section here. And basically this is where you're going to come to create and run any reports that you require. So this can be accessed at any time. And you'll see here if I click in, first of all, just to bring your attention here to the favourite reports. So BrightPay, by default, when you set up a new employer file, we have these favourite reports already set up for you. So they're supposed to be the most commonly used ones. So say I click on the payroll summary here. Okay, so you have complete control over this analysis function. So you can use those favourite reports if you like, but it might be that you want to tweak them somehow. So it could be that you want to run the report, say, from week 1 to week 4. You also want to report on both employees and departments in the report. So you can do a variety of things here. You can select which employees to show, and also then what information you bring in, basically. So these are our, I suppose, our default settings for the payroll summary. It could be you think, well, I'm just going to click into add and remove columns, and it could be that you don't want, or just as an example here for you, you may just want to take off the take-home pay column, for example, but you may want to add the cost to the employer column. So you have complete freedom over this, what you add in. So an awful lot of fields can be added to the report here. I'll just go through, you can see them all here, year-to-date figures as well if need be, and employer items. Using the employer items, that's basically what you've set up in the employer section of the software, and that you can add these in here. So I click on OK and run report, and there's my report on screen here with all the weeks in. Okay, my departmental analysis as well. Should you wish to amend that further, at any time you click on edit and change that as required. Or it could be as well, you just want to run another report alongside that. So you could say, well, I want my hourly pay report for the same period. And run. Okay, so you can have an unlimited number of reports open at the same time. Okay. Should there not be a report here that is suitable, or you simply want to create one of your own and customize it, you simply use the new report option here. So again, choose the period type and what you want to include here, then choose the employees and then the information you want to add in. So it could be, for example, I just want a list of national insurance numbers, just as an easy report to do here. So I can click on add and remove columns, just select none in all tabs and just say I want name, surname and national insurance number, click on OK and run report, and I have the information I've requested on the screen. If it's a report that you want to use ongoing, so every pay period, what you can do then, you can click on save, and you can give it a report name of your choice, and you can also specify, every time you open the report, what information is in it. Is it to be the latest information and all the latest employees? So you have a couple of options there. And you can also say, well, I want to add that report to my favourite list on the menu bar. So I can click on save, and you can see there it's added here. So every time I come into analysis, I can always select that report. Okay, so it's there. What you can do as well then is manage reports. So it could be something, there's a report there that you're never going to use. Say it's the pensions report you want to get rid of. You can delete it and it's gone. You can untick favourites, or you can add a report to favourites. So again, you can tidy this up and tweak it to suit your own needs. Okay. All reports can then be printed. A number of reports can be printed, in one go. You can set how they print, whether it's portrait, landscape, paper size, etc. there. And also the reports can be exported to Excel, CSV file, to clipboard, or to a PDF document there. Okay, so that's the analysis function. So pretty straightforward to use. Again, if there's some fields that you feel are missing from the analysis, again, it's usually not too much of a difficulty to, for us to add them in for you, if you just want to pop in a request to us. Okay, that's really I suppose the day-to-day processing covered. Just before I move on to the auto-enrollment, I just want to finish off the payroll functionality just to show you year-end, how that works. So I'm just going to minimize 15-16 here. I'm just going to open up my 14-15 BrightPay. I'm just going to pop back into the previous tax year because it's more current. Okay, and I have a company set up here. So again, the year-end procedure is straightforward for you, and we always do a year-end guide as well that we, on the open company screen, we always give you access to that guide. And basically it's a 4-step procedure that we always say is involved. So step 1 then for your year-end is, first of all, make sure that all your pay slips are finalised accordingly. Okay, so I have my employee here that in monthly payroll, so I can see that I have a head symbol in month 12, so that's an outstanding pay slip. So I would finalise all my pay slips up to date for the step 1. Okay. Step 2 then is to ensure that all your full payment submissions for the tax year in question have been submitted, preferably before the 19th of April, which is when HMRC stop accepting the full payment submissions. So I would just come in here. I know my date's slightly out, so I'm just going to mark that one as sent, and we'll pretend it's before the 19th of April here. Okay. So make sure your full payment submissions, that's step 2, that they're all submitted on time. Step 3 then is to then send your final employer payment summary to HMRC, and that's done simply within the RTI utility. Click on New, click into Employer Payment Summary here. Oh, sorry, I just need to make sure, just to bring to your attention to your HMRC payments utility. It has to be up to date up to month 12 here for everything to be up to date. So I'll just put dates in against my 12 months. Yeah. Okay. So and then I do an employer payment summary here. So it'll be tax period month 12. And all I do here, if everything else is fine and you don't need to or fill in accordingly, I then tick to say final submission here. If the scheme is ceased as well, you can tick that box and put the date in. So that's something you would use maybe mid-year. If a scheme ceases mid-year, you can come in here and do the employer payment summary and communicate that cease date to HMRC. Simply tick the final submission indicator, click on OK, and send to HMRC. And that's your year-end completed then. Step 4 then is then the P60s for the employees, and they are facilitated within the employees section. On each employee record, they have a P60 tab here, so I can click on P60 here. Again, BrightPay allows you to print either on plain A4 paper, and that has been approved by HMRC, allowing us to do that. Or if you have HMRC P60 stationery, you can print onto their own stationery as well. If you don't want to print on an individual basis, I can click to view or print the P60s for multiple employees, and I can do a batch run. There's the P60s there. Okay, so they're all on the one screen for printing. Or, sorry, I can click to email the P60s if required. Again, I would just need email addresses in, but for those that have email addresses in, they can be emailed over and password protected as required. Okay. What BrightPay also facilitates is the earlier year update. So say it is past the 9th of April, which obviously it is at this stage. Say there are corrections here. I'm just going to unmark this one as, sorry, here. Say you do have to make corrections and it's after the 19th of April. HMRC then won't accept any full payment submissions or additional full payment submissions to be submitted. So your only option then is just to send an earlier year update to HMRC. We are aware some software providers don't cater for them, but we do. Okay, so to do an earlier year update, you would simply click on New, and you would select the option to do an earlier year update at the bottom of the listing there. Okay, so if it's just one employee that you've made corrections for, you would simply select that employee, select None, and just select the one employee, for example. Click on OK. That produces your earlier year update for you, and you would send that off to HMRC. So again, a couple of clicks of a button and that earlier year update is submitted for you. Okay, so we do cater for before and after the 19th of April as required. Okay, so that's the year-end procedure. Probably at this stage, most people have got that done now, but yeah, just good to know. And as I say, we always do a year-end guide as well, just to help people. Okay, so I'm going to close out of here, and I'm just going to go back into my BrightPay 1516. Okay, so that's the general payroll functionality that I just wanted to show you. So any questions on that, feel free to ask away, and we'll do our best if there's time at the end just to answer those questions, or we'll do follow up in an email for any questions that we can't get round to. So I'll now just move on just to finish off to show you how the auto-enrolment functionality works in BrightPay. So I'm just going to use a computer that I already have set up for you. So I'm going to click into Auto-Enrolment Limited here. Okay, and I'm into the payroll here. So basically, as soon as you have your staging date for auto-enrolment, you can come into BrightPay at any time. It could be a staging date in 2017, it doesn't matter. You can make a record of it as soon as you're in receipt of it. As soon as you have it, what you're going to do, you're going to come into the pensions utility here, and under automatic enrolment, you will have a field here to enter your staging date in. So that will be blank. I've got a date in at the moment just to speed things up, but you simply enter your staging date. Basically, by entering your staging date here in the designated field provided, that means that BrightPay will kick in at the right time for you, in just to notify you that when your automatic enrolment duties are due to begin, basically. So as soon as I reach the 1st of May 2015 in my payroll, I'll start to get the on-screen flags and alerts appearing. Okay, so enter your staging date as soon as you have it. Then when you have details of the pension scheme that you are using, simply come into the pensions utility again and set the information up. So if I click on Add New Scheme here at the top, so at the top there are our automatic enrolment pension schemes, and you'll see that there's 9 there that we cater for specifically. We have dedicated support for these. So Aviva, Now Pension, Scottish Widows, Legal and General, the People's Pension, Standard Life, Nest, Royal London and Workers' Pensions Trust. This list isn't complete as such. We're adding them in more and more. As the demand is there, we're adding them in for you. So again, if there's a pension scheme that you're using, by all means, please contact us. Again, it's usually just down to us getting the file specification from the pension provider, and we can bring it in for you. If it's a pension scheme that we don't currently cater for here, then you do have the option down below to add other automatic enrolment scheme, and for you to set up the details in here, I suppose manually by yourself. Okay. So just for the purpose of, I suppose, the demonstration now on auto-enrolment, I'm going to assume that we're going to use a Nest pension scheme. So simply select the pension scheme you require. Okay, and it will bring you into the setup screen for you. So with Nest, you're asked for an employer reference. So you would type this in here, for example. I think that's it. a few characters, and then to set up details of your groups. All this information should be ready to hand because this is to match exactly what you've set up with Nest. You'll have been sent, you've got set up with a pension provider first of all. They should give you this relevant information. You're simply inputting it at this stage. So then you're asked then to set up your groups. So it could be, for example, you have weekly employees, so your group name is weekly. Again, this has to match exactly what you have set up with the pension provider. You're then asked to set up the contribution type. So are you going to use the phased minimum contribution rates, or do you want to use the 2018 ones, or do you want to customize them as required? So you have flexibility over that. And then at the bottom, you're asked for the earnings basis. So are you to use the standard qualifying earnings with the banded limits, or again, you can customize these. So for example, if you don't want the lower limit, you can remove that. Sorry. There, exactly, or remove limits there. Okay. And then you save your record. Further groups can be added. So for example, you could have employees on different pay frequencies, so weekly, monthly, for example, and you want to set up another group for the monthly employees. Or you could have within the one pay frequency employees with different contribution rates. So you may want to set up the two groups accordingly there, or more than two groups as required, just to differentiate between those. Okay, so when ready, you save your pension scheme. I have one up here already set to go here. Okay, so just returning to payroll then. So as soon as you reach your staging date in your payroll, so we're staging on the 1st of May in this example, so that's my week 5. So as soon as I reach my staging date, you'll see these on-screen flags appear and also these yellow alerts. And this is now notifying you that you have automatic enrolment duties now to perform. So in the pay period that you stage, BrightPay will automatically assess your employees for you. And it will determine whether they're eligible job holders, non-eligible job holders, or entitled workers. Okay, so you'll see here that my first employee, Jemima Appleby, she has been assessed as an eligible job holder. So if I click on View Options, I'm given the options for her based on her being an eligible job holder based on that work category. So I have the option to enroll her, to postpone her, or to mark her as exempt. So in this example here, I'll choose to enroll her here. So the enrolment date will flow through for you, change as required, and then you select your scheme from your listing. So I'm going to enroll her into Nest, into my weekly group, and then you simply select what the tax relief is to be applied, okay, and press Continue. Okay, and Jemima is now enrolled into Nest. So what BrightPay also does, it will automatically create your enrolment letters for you, which you are now required to give to the employees. And to produce that enrolment letter, all you'll do is simply click on Letter here, and you'll have the option to either print it, export to PDF, or to email it to the employees as required. So I just click on Print here, just to give you an example. So you have flexibility here over margins, etc., and paper size, also to add your signatory information. And if I click on Print Preview here, you'll see here that we have the standard the standard enrolment letters here, and these are in line with the recent letters that the pensions regulator released. Okay, so the enrolment letter will detail things like the staging date, what her contribution rates are, how she can opt out, and also, I suppose, what auto-enrolment will mean to her, how she will possibly benefit from it. So we close out there. So you can print that, export or email as required, and then once the employee is in receipt of it, we can simply tell the system that this has been done. Okay, and that's Jemima Appleby here. She is now dealt with in terms of your automatic enrolment duties for her. Okay, so moving on to my next employee then, Ronan Burton. He's been assessed this time as a non-eligible job holder. So again, if I click on View Options, slightly different options for him. I'm given here the option to write to him inviting him to opt in, should he wish to. Then, should he come back and wish to opt in, I would come in here and opt him in. And again, to postpone him or to mark as exempt here. Okay, so that's for a non-eligible job holder. And then if I look at my next employee here, Simone Pendleton, she's an entitled worker. So the options I have for the entitled worker again is to write to them as required. Then should she choose to join, I can then choose the option to join and enroll her, then to postpone or to mark as exempt again. Okay. So a useful feature in BrightPay, again, this is particularly useful for bureau providers, is the option to batch process employees. So rather than enroll each employee or, I suppose, assess them on an individual basis, BrightPay allows you to enroll or postpone or mark as exempt multiple employees all in the one go. So for example here, Tanya Peters, she's eligible. So as I go to enroll her, if I click on enroll and I select my pension scheme here, I am then given the option to enroll multiple employees with the same settings. So I click on that, I'll select all in this example and enroll. And those 4 employees are now enrolled all at the one time, so I don't have to go through them on an individual basis. Likewise, I can then create their letters too, and again they can be printed in batch, exported in batch or emailed in batch, and again I can mark as done for all of them all at the same time. So just speeding up the process for you there. Okay, so again, their flags have disappeared, I've dealt with them, and so I can move on. What BrightPay can also do, and we saw the button there, is you can postpone employees as required. So to postpone an employee or employees, simply click on the postpone button here. Your assessment date will come in and you'll then be asked just to enter your deferral date, so it can't be any more than 3 months in advance. And then press continue. So that would postpone an employee on an individual basis. Similar though to when enrolling in a batch, you can also postpone in a batch. So again, you would simply choose this option to postpone assessment for multiple employees, select those employees, click the button, and they are now postponed together. And again, similarly, you can then batch and produce their postponement letters that you are required to give to the employees, informing them of the postponement. Again, they can be printed, exported, or emailed in batch and marked as done in batch here. Okay, so you see here that I now have no flags, so that means I've dealt with all my employees in terms of their auto-enrolment. So you'll see there for those employees that I did enroll, you'll now see on their payslip that their contributions are flowing through here. If I finalize the pay slips as well, and just go to print payslips, if I just do a print preview of Jemima's here, you'll see the pension contributions are also flowing through to the payslip as well here. Okay, so they have a record of that. Okay. What BrightPay can also do is, if I just pop back into the pensions utility, where we offer dedicated support, so for these 9 pension schemes here, where you see those, that means that BrightPay can also produce the contributions file and where relevant the enrolment file for upload into the particular pension provider's web portal. So it will do the whole process for you. So taking Nest again as our example here, with Nest you are required to submit the enrolment file. So you would simply come in here, click on enrolment file, and just with a click of a few buttons here, payment source, for example, say it's check. Okay, click on next. There's my file information. I simply click on save file, save it to a location of my choice. Okay, I haven't already, just replace that. And that's my CSV file created. You would then log into Nest's web portal and upload that file. Okay, so again, nice and quick. Likewise, you can do the same with the contributions file. Same, click of a couple of buttons, save the file and upload it accordingly. And then just repeat that every pay period as required. Okay. So yeah, so basically with those 9 pension schemes here, we can support the contributions file, and some don't require an enrolment file, but if they do, we do the enrolment file as well. Okay. So just moving back into the payroll there. So I finalised this particular pay period and the pension contributions are going through. What BrightPay can also handle then is if an employee chooses to opt out, it can handle the opt-out request and also refund an employee any contributions that they've already made. So should you receive an opt-out request, all you do is go into the employees here, choose the employee in question, and every employee on their menu bar will have an automatic enrolment utility. So if I click into Jemima's here, so because I've enrolled her, now when I go back in, I have the option to opt her out. So I simply click on opt out. I enter the reference, I'll just do a dummy reference there, and you'll see here refunds. So to create an addition on Jemima Appleby's week 6 payslip to refund any contributions to date. So I'm going to click on continue there. You sure? Yes. And you'll see then in week 6 that refund of pension contributions flowing through for her. Okay. At any time, again, similar to what we looked at when we're looking at general payroll functionality, at any time you can go into the analysis function and produce your own automatic enrolment reports. If I just click on new report here and just show you some of the things that you can bring in under period here. So if you wanted to report, for example, on worker category, you can do that. If you wanted a list of enrolment dates or opt-in dates, etc., cessation dates, that can all be done by selecting the relevant categories here. Also, if you go into employer items, if you wanted a breakdown of the contributions, I could say, well, give me the breakdown for my nest here. Click on OK, run report, and I can get that information there. Okay, I brought a lot of things in there, but it could be tweaked and then saved to suit your needs. So again, you can do automatic enrolment reports as well. Okay, just then a couple of little things just in terms of automatic enrolment. If I just go back into pensions and click on automatic enrolment here, you have 5 months from the date of staging to submit your declaration of compliance to the pensions regulator. Once done, you can make a note of the date that you've done it here in the automatic enrolment screen. That can be done there. Also, BrightPay, as you've seen there just in the demo, will do the communications for you. So it will do your enrolment letters, your postponement notices, etc. What some, I suppose, pension providers are doing, they're taking care of the communications for the employers. And so in which case you don't need BrightPay to do that part for you. If I just pop into payroll here, if I click in here, I will get these alerts here. So I have an employee here that is a non-eligible job holder. So the note that's coming up here, my alert, is that I must write to her to tell her about her right to opt in. Now, if you're with a pension provider that's taking care of that for you, you don't need these alerts to appear, and you'll get annoying because they will keep coming up every pay period. So what you can do here in the pension screen is at the bottom where you've got communications, you can turn these off. Save changes. And if I just go back in now, those alerts have now stopped because I know someone else is taking care of them for me. Okay. We've had I just showed you there where we've staged, and when you reach staging date, your alerts will kick in. But should I just have a mid-year starter here? I'll just quickly set somebody up. Okay. Basically, the most important thing to bear in mind is that BrightPay will continue to monitor employees for you. So it's not just because you've staged that it will do it, it's ongoing monitoring. So if I just bring my payroll up here to when my new starter commences with me. You see here my Cassidy Huffman here. I got the flag now to tell me that I have automatic enrolment duties to perform for that person as well. So it's ongoing monitoring as well for you. Okay, I think I'm just about done here. Karen's just going to come back in because she's going to just see if there's any questions that have come in. So thank you everybody there for your time.
Okay, thanks a million, Vicky. That's good going. Good 2 hours talking there. So just let Vicky just get a glass of water, and just going to bring up the questions. So yeah, thanks a million for everybody's time. And yeah, we're going to go through the questions here, and we'll try to get through as many as possible. Just want to say apologies for some of the sound in the background there, with a few builders out on the road there just doing some work. But I think the sound was okay for everybody. Okay.
There's just a question there from Marie, just about the sender ID and password. It is the same details that you do use to log into your HMRC account. They have to match exactly. So yeah.
So what was the question there, just Vicky, just for everybody
else? Sorry. Marie just asked there, I assume the sender ID and password that you use to submit your RTI submissions are the ones that you use to log into your HMRC account. And yes, they are. They have to be the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. For mileage, can you enter the number of miles at a mileage rate?
You can't, unfortunately, but we'll certainly flag that as a future option. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Can you email the pay slips to the employer?
You can. I suppose it's just changing the email address to reflect the employer email address rather than the employee email address.
Yeah. Or there's the option as well to CC.
Yes.
Yeah.
CC as well.
Yeah, you can add a CC address as well if you just want to just have confirmation that all the employees received their pay slips. Okay, the next one is, can BrightPay handle CIS?
Okay, this is a common question that comes into us. It's not integrated into BrightPay, but we do have a separate package called CIS Assistant, which will deal with all CIS requirements there. And as a bureau user, we do actually provide that piece of software free of charge to you. Okay. So you can use that alongside BrightPay.
Okay, thank you. So the next one is, hi, as an agent, can you download employer notices in bulk?
Yeah, you can. If I just show you on screen here, in the employees section here, you'll see coding notices, and this is a way of, should you require, this will access your HMRC account and bring down any notices for you. Just see if it's possible here. This is just a dummy number here. Yeah, so excuse the names. These are given to us by HMRC, so they're very strange names. But yes, it will read, you know, your P9s and student loan notices, etc. So yes, the answer to that question is yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll just get my questions back up here now. Okay,
question from Lindsay there. Can we create a payroll for the previous year and do an EYU if no FPS has been done? You can, Lindsay. Yeah, that's fine. And the EYU will just report the whole year's information, and yeah, and that will go through to HMRC, no problem.
Okay. The next question: can you check if RTIs are due without having to go in to all individual payrolls?
Yeah. If I just close this company down here. Sorry. Can you see here where it says RTI? That's showing me how many RTIs I have outstanding. Okay. There, if I have 2 in that company, for example. Yeah. So at a glance, you can see that.
Okay. If an employee opts out, can BrightPay flag up a reminder for them to be re-invited in 3 years' time?
You would have to check that with the programmer. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's a great suggestion. I'm not sure if it's on the list. Obviously.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that one and then email the answer to everybody. Okay, so the next one is, can BrightPay handle P11Ds?
Not at the moment, but we I think it's confirmed at this stage that we will have them in for year end 15-16 in the software.
Okay.
CIS again for Lloyd, is it? Yeah. Yeah, so just for Lloyd's purpose there, he's just asking just if I can just explain the CIS again. CIS functionality isn't integrated into BrightPay, but we do have a separate CIS package that we do alongside BrightPay, two independent packages basically. For any bureau user of BrightPay, we provide the CIS assistant software free of charge to you. So you can use that free as you wish.
Okay, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Thanks a million for your time, and you know, we do have free support, so if you did have any further questions in the future, you can email our phone support.
Just got one last question in there from Roy. Can you batch process RTI submissions for multiple payroll files? At the moment, no, Roy. It's something that comes in a lot, so we are looking at doing that, but currently, no.
Okay, yeah, no, I think that's the final one. So thanks a million for everybody's time, and we have recorded this training session, so that will be available to everybody as well. Thank you, and have a good week. Thanks Vicky.
Bye. Bye-bye.